In this PowerPoint lecture, you will learn about the verbatim report. You will learn the definition of a verbatim report. You will learn the 4 sections of a verbatim report, and you will learn how to write a verbatim. What is a verbatim report? It is a careful reporting of a conversation that occurred during any ministry event of your choosing. The verbatim report includes a transcript of the conversation which occurred during the event. A satisfactory verbatim report has 4 major sections: the introduction, the verbatim transcript, evaluation, and theological reflection. Now, let me describe how to write a verbatim report. This information is also in your syllabus, so you might want to have your syllabus in front of you for this part of the presentation. An example of a verbatim report is posted on the home page of Moodle. It's too long for your assignment, but it's a good example for you to follow. In the introduction to your verbatim, you want to give the date this experience took place. Now note, the experience should be personal, your own, and current. You'll want to supply the known facts. Provide the reader with the known facts that you had prior to this experience. Then, too, you'll want to talk about the purpose of the conversation. Describe the persons involved, the situation as it presented itself, and the purpose of the conversation. If you had a long-standing relationship with anyone, then you want to describe that briefly as well. Observations should be noted, including how the conversation developed. Was there anything that was unrelated to the experience that may have affected your behavior during this experience? Are there socio-cultural or ethnic factors that influenced how you process this verbatim? For example, language, economic, racial, or ethnic differences, age, education. What motivated your responses in this particular situation? And then you'll want to chronicle your feelings and assumptions. How would you describe your feelings and assumptions in this conversation? What was on your mind before this interaction? Were you aware of any anxiety or excitement? After you complete your introduction, you'll move into the verbatim transcript itself. Sit down as soon as possible after this experience and jot down a stream of key words that will help you remember the sequence of the conversation. Take time to recall your feelings during the conversation and the exchanges as much in detail as possible. Enter only direct quotations when you begin to type up the encounter. Use a separate paragraph each time a person speaks, which is identified by the initials of the person speaking and the number of the speech. In other words, if M stands for you, the first time you speak it would be M1. The second time you speak it would be M2. The third time you speak, no matter where it is in the dialogue, it would be M3. And the person you're conversing with, the first time they speak, would be P1. The second time they speak, P2, and so forth. Place all nonverbal communications in parentheses, as well as significant thoughts and feelings of which you are aware. Note periods of silence and places where you cannot remember the exact words spoken. Now only provide the most crucial aspects of the conversation. It's understood that you're not able to remember a conversation word for word, but try to restate what you remember as best you can. What you remember is significant, regardless of whether it is literally what was said or done. Next, we'll look at the evaluation. After putting your introduction in your verbatim and your verbatim transcript, you next move to an evaluation of your work. First is the analysis. It's an analysis of the conversation, and it should reflect your understanding of what actually happened in the ministry situation. Then, spiritual assessment. Use this section to reflect on your ministry encounter. What aspects of your own faith were explored, challenged, or reaffirmed? What have you learned from this experience? What might you be able to do to help this person grow socially, emotionally, and most importantly, spiritually? And then,
how did you or will you follow up on this situation? And then you offer a self-critique. What did I say, do, or think that was right? And then how could I improve what I said, did, or thought? Now the interpersonal dynamics. How does the space, position of the bodies, movements, settings, and other physical factors lead to understanding in this ministry encounter? Were there gaps in your conversation that presented a roadblock saying, "Don't go there"? Were there any periods of silence? If so, what happened as a result of the quiet moments? Last, we will look at theological reflection. Now we come to the last of the 4 segments or sections of a verbatim report, and that is theological reflection. To do this exhaustively would take many pages, so focus on what you think offers the most insight or perplexes you the most. First, with what theological issue or issues is this person concerned? Maybe issues of trust, hope, illness, despair. Did the individual speak openly of God? And, if so, how would you describe the God they worship? Was fear, love, or other images associated with their God talk? Does your theology differ from the other person's in this situation? How do those differences affect your words and actions? And then, what is the call of the gospel in this context? Was any aspect of divine activity revealed in this experience for you? And then, what does this encounter reveal about the human condition? About sin, evil, grace, and salvation? Then number 4, reflect at a deeper theological level by using the accumulated knowledge and wisdom you have developed in Fruitland classes and from life experiences. In your theological reflection, use scripture passages, Bible stories, or images that speak to the issues you have encountered. What different positions have Christians taken on these issues throughout history? Does science, psychology, counseling, or pastoral care say anything about my experience? How did the conversation fit into the bigger story of Scripture? And then last, what was distinctively Christian about the way this conversation developed? Well, this is an overview of the 4 parts or sections of a verbatim report. First, we talked about the introduction, and then the verbatim transcript, and then the evaluation, and last, we talked about theological reflection, which incidentally is the most important part of your paper.